Hi, everybody. Welcome to this month's October 2023 release notes unboxing video. Again, I'm Edgar Quadra, your friendly solutions consultant here at Star Telecom. On the call today, we have Ryan, one of my colleagues here at Star Telecom.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? How's the weather treating you?
Pretty good. A little bit of rain, a little bit of snow.
Yeah, good. Great. Well, everyone, for this month, again, we're following the new format that we've created, and that is we're summarizing, we're trying to make these videos more efficient to be cognizant of everyone's time here. So we'll just get right into it. So it's a pretty heavy month for October. So we'll start with October 4th. And one of the key ones I want to call out here is the ringtone selection for call alerts. What this actually is for all our embedded or clients that are using Genesys Cloud inside of a CRM. So let me quickly demonstrate that. We have our Salesforce here as our example, CRM. And within Salesforce, there is the CTI connector using the embeddable framework. This is our actual Star Telecom CTI tool, which can be available to you. Just go ahead and contact us and we can discuss that. But inside this embeddable framework tool here, an agent can now go to their settings of the CTI tool, notifications, and they can go ahead and select ringtones. This has been available in the larger Genesys interface for a little while now, but now these settings have been available inside the CTI tool. So they can go ahead and select a ringtone. Not sure if that came through on the audio there, but now that's available in here. And we're starting to see a trend now that Genesys is beefing up the embeddable framework features to make them more available and almost get to parity of what's available in the main interface for agents. Okay. And so now the next feature that I want to call out here is the actual, and this is coming in the new year, January 2nd, is the removal of the console transfer controls within the embeddable framework. So we'll have to maybe read a little bit more as to really why, and I'm going to jump in here as to why that's being affected here. So if who specifically use the hold and DTMF controls appears when the script is loaded in the console transfer icons. Okay. Oh, I see. So within the Genesys embeddable framework here, when you have an interaction connected, this script tool opens up. And then in a moment here, it's a little buggy here. So I'll just kind of go back here, everyone. I apologize for that. It's not working in my demo environment here. But basically, when you open up that interaction window, there's the ability to transfer within that window here. It appears like that has been a little confusing for the agents. So now Genesys is removing kind of the ability to do that transfers in this pop-up window, and going to contain the transfer in DTMF within the main embeddable interface or UI, just to simplify and cause less confusion for agent workflow. Okay. Now we'll move on to the October 11th release notes summary. So the feature here I want to highlight for October 11th is trigger alerts based on the number of agents currently in queue. So over this past year, Genesys has revamped the alerting engine within the application. And usually, if you remember, you would access the alerts with the little bell icon down below here. But now what that does is opens up your inbox and it shows previous alerts, which is cool. So now to be able to access it and to work on that one feature that we're talking about today is under the performance workspace. And there's actually a new area in here under other and reporting, alerts rules. This is where you'll create your alerts. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly create a demo for that demo number of agents. And now it's a very more intuitive, I believe, way of creating these alerts. And in this case, we're going to do is a presence metric rule. I'm going to click on add. And then in here, there's various triggers and different or and statements that you can use. But for this case, we're just going to do queue. And I'm going to put in the name that I want to monitor, or the queue that I want to monitor. And then on queue agents, less than or greater than the variable. So now when we go ahead and set that rule up, I can add more conditions. I can send an SMS. I can email it or send in-app notifications. So you have 3 methods of reporting and alerting you on this rule that you've created, right? So very easy. And there's different statuses in here too, right? So if you want to see the number of agents on specific statuses, so number of agents in training or on lunch, we can go ahead and now create triggers on that, which is actually incredibly handy, I believe, from a call center monitoring perspective. Something to look forward to. So, if you are interested and you want to set that up here, you can always, from the release notes, click on create an alert rule, and then you'll be able to get more hand-holding on how to go ahead and set these up in different areas to do that. But definitely a very useful feature for our in October that's come out. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on now to next week here, and that is October 18th. And the one here I want to call out is brand new multi-factor authentication login. So this is actually a brand new, and I think it's long overdue to have multi-factor authentication built into the system. Generally, Genesys has been relying when you have SSO enabled on the org, then it's your SSO provider that's providing that multi-factor authentication portion. But now, when you can go ahead and enable multi-factor authentication at the org level, and the experience is when an agent or users go ahead and start logging into Genesys Cloud. Sorry, let me just kind of try and show this here. When agents go ahead and start logging in to Genesys Cloud, and when it's enabled here, what's going to happen for the very first time here is on screen, Genesys is going to present a QR code, where then from that QR code, you'll be able to add your authentication app or device to that. And I'm going to quickly bring it up here on screen here.
It's interesting that it points out there that SSO users do not receive MFA prompts. This is for native login use only. I think that's a really good thing to point out, because that was one of my first thoughts is, if I'm using SSO, does that mean I can also leverage MFA?
And unfortunately, I can't show my phone because for security reasons, my Microsoft Authenticator app doesn't allow it to show during the screen share. But basically, so now next time, and that was a great point, Ryan, but next time a user goes through the setup process, and when they go and log into Genesys Cloud with their username and password, on the next screen, they'll be prompted to type in that validation or that 6-digit code that gets presented on their phone. Type that into the login screen in Genesys Cloud, and then they'll be able to go ahead and continue the login process. Again, I think it was sorely needed and great to see that Genesys has now put that into the environment. Okay. So, if you are just using username and passwords to log in and not your SSO, then this is definitely something you should go ahead and start enabling at the org level. Okay. the next feature here, and Genesys has really added a lot of division-aware features for this week. First off here is Genesys has now added new objects that are now division-aware. So one of those new objects is secondary statuses. So what that means here is these secondary statuses that are available, that could be available, when I click on them, Genesys will now be able to have those secondary statuses only available to specific divisions, which is cleaned it up and makes it very handy now, which makes a lot of sense, right? So if you have multiple divisions, let's say you have billing, you have customer service, and you have other divisions there, really, some statuses won't apply to billing as they will apply to customer service or the contact center. So great to see that actually happen and come in, and the division part of Genesys Cloud really beefing up there. Ryan, anything you want to add there to that?
Yeah, I think this would also be really useful with not just if you have like a couple different lines, but for example, if you're, I know BPOs leverage divisions immensely because you have all these different lines of business coming in. I think this could be really useful in separating a division of work based off of, you have an agent who works and leverages multiple lines. You can actually see what they're devoting their time to. I think this is really, really
excellent. Yeah. Okay. We scroll down here a little bit more under October 11th. Here is Genesys. Right now, it's not available in the UI, but they've now created an API, and specifically under the text and speech analytics tool is being able to calculate the agent's empathy during a call. So, levels of empathy and to calculate the emotional intelligence during interactions with customers. So this is obviously lead in the path, and Genesys always does this. They first released the API, and in a couple of months now, this will be available within the main UI here. But now, not only will we be able to see the sentiment of the overall call, but now the empathy that the agent displays during a call. So, I mean, there's calculations and there's verbiage on how that's going to be done. Like I mentioned, it's only available via API right now, but it is up and coming. So, you can let your quality assurance department know, supervisors know that agent empathy will be calculated very shortly within Genesys main UI. Okay.
That's insane. Just the thought that we're able to quantify how empathetic someone is being. Oh, that is incredible.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. We could definitely see, right, Genesys is leveraging a lot of the AI tools and AI features in different areas of the application, and then using that, I think is going to be, for empathy, yeah, it's going to be very great, I believe. Okay, now is new analytic dashboard metrics. So I'll show you in a moment here, but Genesys now has new metrics, or different type of metrics for the queue agent wrap-up codes flow performance. So if we go ahead and jump into our environment here, and quickly, let's go ahead and create a look at some dashboards. Basically, when we go ahead and create a new one here, there's new metrics available when we want to add a new widget here, right? So if I go to metric, and I'm going to filter by my queue, add that queue, and then when I go and add a metric here, Genesys is now adding more and more of these metrics here. So basically, the ones that we're familiar with under the regular performance views on those columns, Genesys is making more of those columns available in the dashboard. And you can see here, the plethora is quite impressive here. So definitely now could be a good chance to revisit your dashboards if you've created a few. Look at that, see which new metrics you can add to your dashboards and refresh it. I think it's probably a good practice every quarter or so to refresh your dashboards, see what new metrics can be applied there. Okay. Oh, and with that, you don't have to go ahead and change your whole dashboard. I'm just going to quickly back up here, cancel. If you are aware, Genesys does give you the ability to go ahead and copy that dashboard, duplicate it. Right, so you have to undo all that work that you've done. Just duplicate it, go ahead and modify the new one, and work from there.
That is very nice.
Yeah,
Not having to duplicate work.
Yep. Okay, so the next one here, remove agents who deselected their phone from the queue. So I wasn't aware of this, but I can definitely see how agents could potentially game the system. So what this is when an agent had the ability to disassociate their phone while they were on queue. This kind of took them off the queue, and they could say, oh, we have technical issues and so forth with my thing, so they didn't receive queues. Well, Genesys has now put in a permission, telephony station disassociate self permission. So what that means is when we enable that permission, when an agent is on queue, they could go to their statuses, go to their phone, and deselect their phone. What that means is now they won't receive phone calls if they're on queue. A little workaround that they found out. Well, Genesys is now removing, or is adding to that deselect phone feature there. Okay. So I believe, again, if you are experiencing that currently in your contact center, or you're seeing weird behaviors like that, might be a good time to revisit some of that particular permission and maybe add it to your agent role. Again, you can contact us and we can help make that happen. Okay. So the next one here is interface or workflow improvement when it comes to transferring consult and for all the channels that are listed here. Basically, this is allowing Genesys allowing the agents to save a couple of clicks when it comes to that action of transferring an interaction. So I have a voice call connected right now, and I want to either do a consult or transfer this voice call to a different queue or user. I was going to type in my look ahead, and previously an agent would have to select that and then hit transfer. But as you can see here, via one-click transfer, that call is now selected. The agent will go ahead and wrap up that call, and now that call has been now transferred off to. It's just, I think it saved just a couple of clicks there, where previously you would select the queue, and then you would have to go ahead and hit transfer one more time. So little improvement, workflow improvement there, which we're always appreciative for. Okay. All right, so now let's move on now to, and sorry, I'll quickly just wanted to add here also, that same division specific awareness that I talked about a little bit earlier is also now available as within the status code when it comes to workforce engagement. So I think Ryan actually touched upon that a little bit earlier, but that's also now available in the our workforce engagement toolset. Okay, let's move on now to the last week, October 25th. And first one I want to talk about here, and I think it's actually incredibly important, especially our telecom provider. We provide those services. But what I think is incredibly important here and cool here is from within the architect tool, or when we go ahead and create flows within Genesys Cloud. Not to get a little bit too technical here, but when a SIP call goes through, there's this header. Think of it as when you have a Word document, there's that header and it contains information about your document, or you can put information about the document. Same thing happens with a SIP call. There's this document that's attached to the SIP call, and at the header section, there's different information about where the call came from, where it's routed to, any parameters get attached to the header of that SIP call. Well, within the architect tool now is you can actually get that header information in the architect tool, and then actually be able to do routing decisions based on the information that's contained within that SIP header. So that may not mean a whole lot right now, but it's actually very mind-blowing that now, maybe we're transferring from a third-party phone system, and then it gets transferred into your system, or vice versa. You have your BPO and you're transferring calls between BPOs. Now we can make routing decisions directly within the header, or embed information in that header, and then have the architect tool go ahead and do routing decisions. Okay, let's move on now to the next feature here for this week here. And the one I want to add or talk about now here is under the QA and or evaluation forms here. Genesys has updated more the status management of evaluations here, where if a user goes back and rescores the actual evaluation, then under the complete evaluation section here, we'll be able to see the name, the current version, and who edited that or rescored the evaluation going forward here. So very good from a QA process management standpoint. Okay. Last one, one of the last ones here, and I touched upon that earlier in this video here, is create in-app notifications. So if you kind of recall here, when you go ahead and create a notification here, you had SMS as the possible options to deliver notifications here. Well, we also have the ability to go ahead and select in-app, so directly inside the application here is to trigger that notification as a desktop alert within the application here. So a very nice addition there when it comes to the alerting, and definitely an engine or a feature that should be explored a lot more, in my personal opinion here. Okay. So next one here is performance, the analytics views, accessibility improvements here. So one of the key things I think Genesys has improved upon over time here is a lot of the accessibility features within the application here. And one of them here is when you're working in the analytics workspace. So that could be, and the analytics workspace is this performance view in here. Genesys has improved a lot of the accessibility features or improve the accessibility for when you have that enabled within the cloud, or you're using a third-party accessibility tool here. So some of the improvements can be is reading out the screen. So when you have a screen recorder or a screen viewer, or you use the built-in Microsoft accessibility tools along with Genesys Cloud here, there's more interaction between those two services, and makes this feature set much more again accessible to users that require accessibility features. Okay. So now the next few here are along workforce management, and I'll first want to admit, workforce management isn't my strong suit. So first one here is quality evaluation enablement for rescores. So like we saw a little bit earlier here, Genesys now has created the ability to rescore evaluation forms, and that's a new feature that's been enabled here, and I alluded to that when we update the actual name of who scored that. So that's now be able to kind of rework the form that's been improved there. Quality management evaluation assignments here. The quality managers can now re-sign the evaluations during these particular workflows of the evaluation form. So either re-sign agents or and so forth there. So when you get the evaluation form, maybe you want to re-sign it and so forth. So Genesys has given us the ability to do that now. The other one here is more specific now to WFM, is there is the Genesys Tempo app. So the Tempo app allows agents to manage their schedule, post shifts, and trades directly on either in their iPhone or Android phones. With a recent integration to HR systems where Genesys is able to pull time off or view time off balances from the HR system, Genesys now passes that information through to the Tempo app. So very good. Lastly here, dispute completed quality management form evaluations. So an agent now has the ability to dispute that form and being able to create a whole workflow now around disputes. If an agent believes that score should be higher, or plead their case, you could say, to a form. Genesys has now created that workflow within the evaluations.
Well, and this one's really interesting because we actually had a customer that we're working with where they had essentially set up where they had critical questions on their evaluation forms. And so an agent would get an evaluation form back, and if one of these critical questions weren't met, it was a fail. But the company had recognized that sometimes these critical questions were vague, or sometimes the fault wasn't actually, the onus wasn't on the agent, it was on the company itself for not providing the correct information, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is really neat because it now gives the agent a little bit a voice, and they're able to dispute it. And not just dispute it, but then we can go back and either send it to a new evaluator because we are now able to reassign those evaluations, or we can even rescore the evaluations. So I think the first two and this one really work well hand in hand, of giving agents a lot more voice and a lot more ownness over their evaluations, instead of just seeing it and going, well, it is what it is. There's a lot more control there. I think that's fantastic.
Great. Great point, Ryan. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So that ends our video for this month. Again, if you have any more questions, you want to deep dive into the release notes, you can definitely go to helpmypurecloud.com, click on the release notes, and get a deeper dive into them. But I hope this video has been helpful for everyone. I'm looking forward to next month. Again, I'm Edgar Quadra, Senior Sales Consultant here at Star Telecom. And Ryan, thanks. Any final words?
Just looking forward to getting to play with some of these features, and looking forward to next month.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, everyone, remember to like and subscribe to our Star Telecom YouTube channel, where we'll be publishing a lot more content around release notes and future features. Thanks, everyone. Have a great month.